Field Notes, Mount Sonder. The trail sign that greets me reads, Mount Sonder Summit 8 hours, 16-kilometer return. It's a lovely morning in early May, gradually warming after a cold night. Light breeze, not a cloud in the sky. In his book I Saw a Strange Land, Arthur Groom describes climbing this summit in the 1940s, and I'm here to see what he saw. Mount Sonder is known as Ruchipma in western Arante. This is Albert Namatjira country, both figuratively and literally. If you're familiar with his paintings, this landscape will also seem familiar. Not just the look of it, but the affect, the tones and moods. You feel as if you've strolled right into one of his vivid landscapes, and, in a sense, you have. This region was his ancestral estate. Mythological knowledge and the accompanying cultural authority and responsibility for this country had been passed to him through his father's lineage. Namatjira's deceptively realistic paintings are a spiritual expression of that connection. There is more to his paintings and more to this landscape than meets the eye. I begin a steady trudge up a slope covered with spinifex and a low sort of mallee, more shrub than tree. I glimpse a few birds, pause to scope them. Ah, a hooded robin. When I reach the ridgeline, I spot a nankeen kestrel soaring and sweeping on the updrafts. This bird closely resembles the kestrel I'm familiar with back home, and is in fact related, with the similar trait of wind hovering while hunting. The trail passes a knobby outcrop, and regular maintenance abruptly ends, but the well-worn route to the summit is easy to follow, running due east along the ridge crest. I reach the summit at noon, perfect timing for lunch. I drop my pack, admire the view. A plaque at the summit points out the major landscape features. Looking east along the crest of the MacDonnell Ranges, I get a good sense of how the numerous gaps and gorges and chasms are formed. The long, narrow, parallel ridges running east-west are bisected at low points by drainage channels running north-south that cut perpendicular chasms through the ranges. These are the headwaters of the Finke River, deemed by geologists the oldest river in the world. When Groom climbed Sonder, he was considering whether this part of Australia might be of interest to tourists such as me. He notes that most Australians of his time, the 1940s, thought of Central Australia as a barren, waterless, and monotonous desert waste. But while looking at this view, he exclaimed, it was hard to pin this vivid panorama of mountains and valleys and distant fertile plains on such an accepted belief. He's not wrong. Truly, this is a stunning location. I'm inclined to say one of the best views in the world. And the weather, today at least, is remarkably pleasant. What with the view and the lovely weather, I'm reluctant to leave, could linger for hours, but if I want to be back at camp by dark, I better get moving. So I pack up my lunch gear, take one last look around, and trudge off.